high doses of alcohol, high blood sugar. There's foods that can actually mobilize stem cells. Double the number of stem cells flowing in your bloodstream just by having 2 cups of... So when our moms and dads got together and created, they actually made every single organ.
An egg and a sperm.
An egg and a sperm got together, and after we were born, a few of those stem cells stuck around, about 700,000 of them. They stick around, and they're mostly in our bone marrow, and they're in lining of our intestines. And they hide out in our body, and they help us regenerate. We know that we regenerate because our hair falls out and grows back. Our gut lining grows back. Our livers can grow back. If you actually remove part of your liver, it'll grow back.
Yeah.
Our skin grows back. Now, what can injure stem cells? You know, people who drink a lot have damaged stem cells. Diabetes is another state, a metabolic state that, you know, it really impairs, it cripples our stem cells.
Sugar.
High blood sugar cripples our stem cells. So the excess of anything can be harmful. Exciting to me is the ability for every single person listening to this podcast to be able to actually enhance their own stem cells. And here's the research. So the Mediterranean diet, it's been a study by Spain, looked at elderly people on the Mediterranean diet, and those who were on a Mediterranean diet compared to not on a Mediterranean diet had 5 times the number of stem cells in their circulation, in their bloodstream.
Amazing.
So again, it's not one magic food, it's the pattern of food that you're actually eating. Now, when you can actually do the research on specific things as well. So for example, tea. Green tea will increase your stem cells, but guess what? So can black tea. You know, people in Asia drink a lot of tea. People in Britain drink a lot of tea as well. Yeah. We used to say green tea's good, black tea's fermented, so it's not going to be that good for you. We're changing our minds. We have to keep our minds open. Black tea can also double the number of stem cells. Cacao has been shown to actually double the number of stem cells flowing in your bloodstream just by having 2 cups of hot chocolate made with 80% high flavanol chocolate, dark chocolate.
Come on.
Yeah, that's been done in people, 60-year-olds with heart disease. The polyphenols in this dark chocolate that we know what they are. They're called proanthocyanidins. So I'm a scientist, so my job is to actually know what the inside chemicals actually are. Yes. These are natural chemicals, all right? Most people don't need to know that, but you drink it and it tastes good. That's all you need to know. But I'll tell you, these natural chemicals found in cacao actually trigger a reaction in your body. So it is literally like bees flying out of a hive, can double the number of stem cells. And what's the practical impact? Well, there was a study done at UCSF in San Francisco that looked at 60-year-old men with heart disease, and their blood flow wasn't going so well either, and their blood vessels were kind of sick. That's kind of the definition of heart disease. They were able to actually double the resiliency, so they got better rebound, they're better agility. Their blood vessels are in better shape because their stem cells are regenerating their circulation.
Wow.
So this is human studies, right? Like most of the time you hear about scientists talking about rats or mice or cells. I'm talking about human studies. And that's kind of where we are with food as medicine. It's not the kind of like the guesswork. Like we can do serious research to get down to exactly what's actually happening at the human level. As we get older, we have fewer stem cells. And so we're using them up one by one. So by the time we are getting into the second half of our adult lives, all right, so anybody listening who's interested in longevity, all right, now pay attention to this, because we know that as we get older, the aged adult could lose up to 50% of their stem cells. You're out of 50% of your ammo. And the stem cells that are left are not as active. They're old stem cells. What about the strip mall? What about the athletes that want to get stem cells? Okay. First of all, I will tell you that medically, stem cell transplantation has been approved for use in cancer. So the first approval of stem cells was in cancer. The government invested in stem cell research after World War II, when they saw the devastation caused by the atomic bomb to wipe out the bone marrow. Basically, it nukes your bone marrow, literally, and then you die because you can't get any, that's like wiping out your health defense system completely.
Yeah.
All right? Other reasons you can die from a nuclear blast, but that's one of the yes. That's one of the long-term reasons why long-term survival is very, very poor. Okay, so a group of researchers actually began to study in animals what happens if you nuke the bone marrow and wipe out all the stem cells. Remember, I told you the stem cells are packed away like shirts in a shirt box. All right, what happens if you nuke that and literally give radiation to a lab animal? Boom, they got no more stem cells. Okay, so they start to die. What if you take healthy stem cells and transplant them back in that animal that's been nuked? You can save their life. So that wound up getting translated into cancer treatments where we give radiation and certain drugs that can wipe out the cancerous bone marrow of people. All right. So now we've nuked all of the cancer cells, but now we have to transplant healthy cells from a donor back into the cancer patient to save their life. Undergo like clinical trials. We know it works. They are not coming out of a strip mall. We're not getting it out of the gray market. It's not coming out of Eastern Europe or, some Caribbean island. Okay. So you really need to be careful about the source of the stem cell. There's donor matching, there's sterilization, the quality control has to be exquisite in somebody that you give a bone marrow transplant to. So I have to tell you, I've seen some cases of people who were in the last throes of life getting resurrected with stem cell injections or infusions. So I know it can be quite miraculous, but they're done under highly scrutinized, highly quality controlled conditions. Can we scale this up so we know it's going to work for everybody? Not yet. We haven't been able to do the clinical trials at scale enough yet to show that they actually work. This is long, expensive, really kind of ball busting type of work to get to show how we can actually get it to work. These biological therapies are not easy to show. These, do we have an off-the-shelf stem cell treatment that works for everybody? I would tell you categorically no. And I'm an expert at this. We don't.
This is a really provocative study of kiwi fruit. 2 kiwi fruits a day times 4 days, and you measure the stool in healthy subjects from every single day, and you can see that just having 2 kiwi fruits in the first 24 hours changes the bacteria that you can measure in the stool by improving the good bacteria as quickly as the first day. And over 4 days, you can increase another good bacteria as well. So these changes can be really quick. And harmful foods can actually similarly change the makeup very quickly. We don't measure this routinely in the clinic, but in the future we will. There are other foods that actually contain bacteria. Yogurt is the best example of this, but there are other fermented foods, whether it's poutsai, kimchi, or a sauerkraut. And these all actually are exposed to the air, healthy bacteria grow in them, we eat them, and over the course of hundreds of years, cultures have realized that this is actually something that can be beneficial to us, and now we're beginning to dive down deeply and understand why. Here are some foods that are beneficial to the microbiome. Finally, I want to just close by saying the microbiome is connected to the immune system, which we know is important because we now realize that about 70% of our immune systems actually wrap like a jelly roll inside our intestines, and the bacteria talks to our immune system. Former US President Jimmy Carter had melanoma that spread to his liver and his brain, and he retired from public life thinking that he was not going to survive. He received one of the biggest breakthroughs in medicine today, which is an immunotherapy that doesn't kill the cancer directly, but uncloaks the cancer that's been hiding from the immune system to allow a 90-year-old person's immune system to find the tumor as a health defense and to wipe it out. Now, this is the type of response that he got before treatment and after treatment. This is a CT scan of the brain. You can see tumor versus no tumor. And we do see this in melanoma, for example, but less than 20% of the people actually respond. So this is very frustrating, the difference between life and death, response and no response. It's one of the big mysteries today. And one of the things that's really remarkable is we're beginning to understand that the foods we eat may impact our immune system through the microbiome. And this is actually a colleague of mine, Laurence Zipvogel in Paris at the Institut Gustave Roussy, found that in 200 consecutive patients treated with immunotherapy, those patients who responded had one bacteria that the ones who didn't respond did not have in their stool. And that's a bacteria called Akkermansia muciniphila, and you can't eat that as a probiotic. You can only eat foods that cause your gut to secrete the mucus that it likes to grow in. And this is now changing the way that we think about how cancer patients are fed, because how many cancer patients that you know might be getting an antibiotic unknowingly and wiping out this bacteria that could make the difference between whether they respond or don't respond. This is also beginning to change this. And this is how it works. Pomegranate, it's got a ligotannin, it's bioactive. It causes the gut to secrete the mucus. The bacteria Akkermansia grows. It lights up the immune system. So now you have a more fortified, more active immune system. Now you hang a bag of immunotherapy, and then cancer immunotherapy will then work on and allow the activated immune cells to go find that cancer. This is oversimplified, but this is what we believe works. And it's very personal to me as I figured this out, because my mother, who was in her 80s, was diagnosed with endometrial cancer, cancer of the lining of the uterus that spread. And she was told by her doctors there was no chance to survive, and at her age, chemotherapy might be worse than the disease itself, and that she should actually just go undergo palliative care. So we actually took the tumor, did the deep dive, found the smoking guns for immune therapy. We then altered her diet, made sure she had the Akkermansia, and after 3 treatments, 9 weeks, we had a complete response, never had chemotherapy. She was actually able to be completely saved, and this is her today, completely well with no sign of cancer. So again, this is not a simple case, but a complicated way that we're beginning to think things. And then finally, let me just tell you, broccoli sprouts also boost the immune system. And this is a study of 29 volunteers who were getting the flu vaccine through a nasal spray. And it found that if they gave them 2 cups of broccoli sprout shake as a smoothie a day, combined with the nose spray, they had a 22 times increase in their immune response to the flu vaccine compared to people who didn't have it. So what I've actually showed you is not just food as medicine, but foods and medicine, where what's happening is that the technology that nature laced into food is meeting the technology that we have within our body.
Hey, if you like that video, then you're going to love this one. Check it out.